Hi everyone, and welcome to a special video for blended family dads. I'm Jesse, and today I'm joined by my wife, and she's joined me on a couple of occasions in the past, and I think it's truly amazing to be able to have her on as well. Um, it's got to be able to be evidence and proof for you that what I talk about on my channel is, well, it's evidence in what we do. And if she's here to be able to talk about that and to tell you about it, then it also validates the reason of what I do, what we do as a team, and the things that I gather and the experience that I garner within that. So the reason why we're making this video is because it's we feel it's imperative for other couples, other blended families to be able to see that you can have success in a relationship, in a blended family, and that to me is very important. What do you feel about
Absolutely. My name is Jennifer as well. And I think that success in a blended family can only really be shown when you can see the couple and that they're actually happy and thriving and living the life that they see that they're living.
that? Why did you agree to this?
I agreed to this because I I wanted to support you because I know that what you're doing is helping men and couples and even women out there that just need to know there are good men out there. There are men who are reinventing themselves and doing their hardest to turn their lives around, and women as well. And we all can do that. So I want to support you.
I want to make sure that our viewers out there know that you actually suggested doing this
I did.
together. So
I
this is
did.
your fault.
It's true.
But it's lovely because I agreed to it and I said, "Really, you want to?" And she did. So what we hope couples and blended families take away from this is seeing stepdad, stepmom, but also seeing how, and you'll be able to see this as we talk. You're going to see the differences. Some things we agree upon, some things we still don't agree upon, and that's okay because we can still live in harmony and be in harmony and have our own opinions and see things differently. Isn't that right?
It's important.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's wonderful to be able to see that. And we had a conversation about this at one point where I said, um, you know what? I don't agree with what you're saying, but how you feel about that, but I really love the joy in being able to see you do that thing in that way. And
I do remember that.
it was a great conversation. So I want to lead into this about what we felt like we expected in a blended family and what we thought it would be like. I mean, I thought this would be a little bit easier. I thought that there would be some flow, and I thought that in the beginning that when I found you that you know there wouldn't be all these complexities and nuances that I learned about, that we learned about, and I feel like that was really something that I really had to sit with at times. What about you?
Definitely. I think, we found ourselves together in a very unusual time in society, and neither of us were working. And so we
Mm.
we actually were able to spend a lot of time together during that honeymoon phase.
Mm-hmm.
And there was deep trauma going on in the
Mm.
world. And we found solace in each other. And
Mm-hmm.
I think within that, for me, it created a fantasy of what could be as
Mm-hmm.
well, because we got to experience life a little differently
Mm-hmm.
than some people. And so there was, you know, great fantasies and illusions that sprung to my mind because I tend to think in that way. And so yeah, I thought it would be sunshine and roses. Everything nice.
Rainbows.
Rainbows.
What excited you about this initially?
This conversation or being in a blended
Well,
family?
just this whole new relationship and blended family. Like, what excited you?
Well, I was very excited to to be with someone who had similar values, shared similar belief systems, core values that were very aligned. And so I thought that it was going to be so easy. It was going to be just, we weren't going to fight about anything.
Hmm.
We were going to, agree on
Hmm.
everything.
Hmm.
And yeah, then
Hmm.
the reality set in that there's still, you can do so much healing outside of a relationship and think you're ready for for anything that comes at you, and the reality is so much of our healing happens in relationship to
Bingo,
others.
bingo. I think what excited me about us was just doing something new, entirely new, and being able to what I thought, um, being able to do things that I wasn't able to do in this relationship that I wasn't able to do in the last relationship. So being able to do those things, that was a wake up call, I think, at one point too. But it excited me because to be in this relationship with you because it was a whole new beginning. It was a whole new beginning of something that I
Mhm,
really wanted to be mindful and create, and
mhm,
that to me spoke to me on a whole new level.
mhm,
Um, what scared me, I think, initially was the fact that I had to rebuild a whole new, co-build a whole new relationship, and I thought that I was starting from scratch. I thought that I was starting from the very beginning. In some cases, we were,
mhm.
but yeah. What about you? What scared you?
Um, initially there wasn't. I think I was stuck in the excitement for so long that there wasn't much that scared me. It was, but when I realized the depth of what we were creating and how important it was to show our girls what a true healthy relationship looked like, and the, the imperativeness of that. There's this responsibility that you suddenly realize
Mm,
you are faced with, that you're I wasn't willing to get it wrong. I
hmm.
I, I I wanted to make sure that we got it right,
Hmm.
and that was scary because I
Hmm.
wasn't even sure if I believed in myself at
Mm,
times.
mm. How did that feel?
That was hard because you have to face yourself that you're not sure you're ready to face.
Yeah, I remember you telling me, um, actually on a few occasions, where you felt like I didn't believe myself enough, and that you wished that I could have seen what you were seeing as potential, and I wasn't seeing initially.
Mm, yes.
And that was huge because I didn't initially get that, guys. Like I did. It took me some trials and tribulations, and even like the assumption around where I thought that I didn't need to take that in and really work on it, that it was just going to somehow happen. And also, I made an assumption that you didn't know what you're talking about.
I knew what I was talking about. I knew you could do this.
Yeah, I figured it out.
Mhm,
I did figure it out.
mhm.
Did we really know what we were getting into initially? I don't feel like I think we rushed into this initially. We rushed into moving in together initially, and
Mhm,
I think that there was at that time some haste because we weren't really sure, like many of you out there,
mhm,
5 years ago, how the world was going to shape up and look, with everything closed and only so many places that you could go. It was tough to really feel, what it was going to mean as far as earning a financial income. And that meant if you weren't doing anything online and if you were working a 9 to 5 job, or you were, even an entrepreneur, but you still had to interface with people, it really wasn't certain at that time. So, um, did do I feel like we rushed into it a bit? Yeah, a little bit, but I think that we came out even more resilient.
I'm not sure. Like, I mean, you never know what can happen, and we can't rewrite the past. But I think too, sometimes you have to work with the hand that you're dealt with, in the sense that
Mm.
if we hadn't moved in together, maybe because of all of the chaos that was happening around us, maybe we wouldn't have ended up together at all had
Hmm.
we gone slower as well.
Yeah, and by chaos, you mean
The world.
the world, the big event that we had a few years back.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's something to think about. Um,
So
hmm.
sometimes you just have to work with what you've got.
Yeah, yeah, that's true in that regard. Wow. So, what was I know the hardest year for me, I think, was was between last year and the year before. It was the span in between the two summers. I felt like it was hard for us, and Jennifer and I have already talked about this a little bit. She's got a different perspective on it, but I feel like the growth was harder for me last summer, between last summer and the summer before that, because there was a big push for me to transition my business from a more in shop or presence with people coming through my door to putting things online. And it was learning a lot. It was the learning curve was like this, but also for our relationship, it was in flux too at times, because there were nights that well, I mean, 3 a.m. I'd come home and it would be, where were you? Well, I mean, at work. Well, why were you at work so late? Well, I was attending the things we really needed to get done. Well, what about, coming home earlier
Getting
and
the rest you
get
need.
getting the getting to really appreciate what you can hear kids, right? Getting to really appreciate the the respect of the relationship in that way, and really trying to find the balance between the new part of being an entrepreneur as well as the relationship itself. So another nuance that we can cross in another conversation some other time. But what about you? What was the hardest year or time?
Well, I want to acknowledge what you said, because
Okay.
that was that was hard for me too, but it was
Hmm.
it was your hard year, and it was hard for me differently, because I couldn't understand why it wasn't easier right off the bat.
Hmm.
And so, but in hindsight, I see how much all of that hard work has paid off, and
Okay.
is making strides in everything that we do and you do. And so I want to acknowledge that I can
Thank you.
see how
That's
hard
really
that
nice. Yeah.
was for you,
Okay.
for sure. And yeah, for me it was probably even before that period of time. It was between, like, right after you moved in,
Hmm.
and then for a year or two after, because I was transitioning out of my career and relying, solely on him to be the provider. And and so there is some overlap in some of those time frames, but I had to go through my own kind of dark night of the soul, where I had to leave my career and trust that you could provide for us, and that we could honor what we both wanted, which was to for me to take care of children, the household, this man, and myself,
Hmm.
and I had to figure out what that really looked like and whether that's what I even wanted because I had to combat this old over masculinized way of being where I was always in control and learn how to step into my feminine, which was very
Well,
out of my comfort zone and into something new, but also something that I desired on such a deep level.
and to be perfectly honest, you were stuck in a situation, a large situation that spanned many years, where you were in a. It was like survival for you
Mm-hmm. Yep.
to take care of yourself,
Yep.
and you couldn't rely on men
Anyone.
to be able to do that
Yep.
for you, and then women too, right?
Women too.
There's
Women
yeah,
and men.
yeah,
Yep.
and I'm not speaking for her in a way where I feel like I'm giving clarity and context to conversation that we've had already.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was difficult for me as well with that in mind, because I grew up a little more coddled, and some would say feminized, where I wasn't initiated by my dad in a way where it was really tested my masculinity, really tested just taking responsibility and ownership for life, things that happen in life, and going, you know what, that's mine too. And when it came to our relationship, not taking responsibility for things that I was doing in the relationship, which affected how you would feel. So that would force you into being in survival mode again, and going, well, it's just me. I guess I got to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That
Absolutely.
sound accurate?
Absolutely. And it was
Okay.
during that time that I was taking a nervous system regulation course, just not to teach others, but to help myself learn how, because I
Mm.
didn't understand how this all fit together, but I knew there was something in it. And
Hmm.
within that, you picked up a lot of
Hmm.
nuggets too that have helped you.
Yeah, I would say that each of us was carrying weight that we couldn't see differently, but similar in the sense that we were both carrying it at the same time, and that it would trigger us.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Definitely.
was carrying this homage of Jennifer having to change into this woman that I wanted her to change into, because if she didn't, then it meant the demise of the relationship. And, you know, that if in my thoughts to that were that the outcomes related back, there was a tie into the value of who I was. And so if she didn't react a certain way and the outcome was bad, then that must mean that I was bad. Therefore, I would project my baggage. And that was something that I was carrying that I couldn't see initially, when we first got together.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything in that you want to comment
Well, I think that's the crux of it is you know we were both carrying so much baggage and you weren't taking responsibility for your stuff, but I wasn't taking responsibility for my stuff. And we were both essentially just pointing fingers at one
on?
another.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it wasn't until you finally started taking responsibility for your stuff that I started to feel safe enough
Hmm.
to be able to take responsibility for my stuff.
Hmm.
And so it's like we both knew how to take responsibility for our own stuff, but we couldn't until the other one did
Right.
it
It's,
first.
it's almost like you needed that assurance that I was doing it first to know that it was okay.
Right?
Interesting,
It's so
hey?
funny.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What did you feel like, or when did you feel like you were walking on eggshells in this relationship?
Well, I think it was, there's probably a 2 to 3 year span early on in our relationship or in the middle of our relationship where we we were we would fight a lot. We would
Hmm.
break up a lot. We would, there was a
We
lot of things that happened a lot.
Full disclosure, I counted 11.
There's
There's
at least.
there's at least 11, and there was some real come to Jesus moments in that as well, because there was, I think on two occasions where he ended up having water fights in the kitchen, and the retractable faucet just happened to be handy, and I would want to cool her down. And then I would run away from that, but I wouldn't run away fast enough for her to be able to catch it and want to cool me down too. It was really fascinating how that went, right?
It really was. It was fascinating. And so for me, the walking on eggshells was almost learning to hide how I felt because I was afraid of how you would respond
Mm,
to it.
yeah, right. Okay. Yep, that makes sense because I would hold that same feeling on the inside. I didn't ever want you to realize how much of an ogre I could be, but then some things you wouldn't listen to, so I ended up becoming that ogre that felt like I needed to throw the hammer to make things stop. And they wouldn't. They would escalate into more. And I think that's where we got to resentment in our relationship, because I remember one time having a big blowout, and there's two occasions I can speak of. The first one was earlier on in the relationship, and we have two girls. Jennifer's got an older um, daughter to my younger daughter, and they get along like they've always been each other's sisters. They're absolutely so wonderful. When we have our rough days, or we had our rough days, we reflect upon how well they get along with one another. And I remember in one situation where you and I, at the end of the evening, we had put the kids down, and we weren't really talking. We weren't even touching. We were in bed, and I just felt so lonely. And I remember feeling so bad. So I remember feeling so bad for our kids, because they were in their own rooms uniquely, feeling just as lonely. Yet we were all under the same roof together. And if we felt all, I remember feeling so much guilt and compassion at that time, because I felt like I was a failure. I felt like I was failing because I was upset, angry, irritated, frustrated, and lonely. And so was Jennifer. So was my daughter. So was my stepdaughter. We were all uniquely lonely and feeling this dread, yet we were so close to each other. How can one feel so lonely and alone, but yet be in so close and be within close proximity? And that blew me away. And that's something I really learned from. Do you happen to remember anything like that?
Well, I mean, I feel that deeply. The unfortunate part for me is I grew up in a very unhealthy household, and so from a young age, that's what I grew up with. That was normal for me,
Mm-hmm.
and so, but I do remember all the times we fought, and the deep loneliness, the deep dread. For me, that deep loneliness had this tendency to turn into complete numbness, where I feel nothing at all,
Mm-hmm.
and which is a horrible, horrible feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but um, but I also remember with each time that this would happen, there was this piece of me that always held up hope,
Mm-hmm.
that always believed that we would figure this out, that this wasn't going to be who we were and how we stayed. There was no way I wanted anything like that to remain the same. We were, I felt like we were both committed to changing with or without
Mm-hmm.
each other in the relationship. I knew that we weren't going to
Did you
remain the
did you ever question whether or not we would make it?
same. every single time.
Yeah, yeah.
Every single
And
time.
you know what? Full disclosure, this is okay. This is
Yeah.
something that I believe is a healthy part of every blended family, let alone first families and any other family, that you got to be able to go to the opposing end, the nth, as I would call it, to be able to question whether or not you're going to make it. And I know I sure
Mhm.
have. And I think the difference within what you said within me is that the belief that I had in those moments felt different because I had expected, and there was unmet expectations that I had. So I've got a phrase that I emulate along with some others out there that talk about this, but uncommunicated expectations are premeditated resentments. And I had a friend of mine who helped give me feedback on a recent course that I developed in some of my work, and he said, "You know what? Within the relationship that I have with my partner, we have agreements so that we can dispel or dissolve any of these expectations, because the expectation leads to the resentment itself." And I thought, huh, that's really interesting, because he said we frame it as having agreements. We agree upon these things, and if something comes up where we really need to talk about it, we bring it up and we talk about it, so that there isn't anything that's unmet or uncommunicated. And he
Mhm.
said it's not perfect by any means, but it's the goal. It's the plenum of where he wants to go with his relationship.
Mm.
And you and I have talked about that too, right?
Plenty
Like
of
that.
times. And I mean, we kind of have similar expectations where
Hmm.
we do have those agreements
Hmm.
in place too.
Yeah, yeah. I know. In this relationship, there were, because my daughter is well, she's female, and um, Jennifer's female, and so is my stepdaughter. Our cats too are female, so I'm outnumbered for all of you out there watching. But it's, I felt like an outsider. I felt like an imposter at times in this relationship and in my home. And what I've really had to get comfortable with in moments was being uncomfortable. But the reason why I felt like an outsider is because I felt like I had to keep earning my worth. I had to keep earning something, that I had to keep proving to you that I was capable, and I was um, a respectable person, and I would do things, and it felt like I needed that reaction, those words of approval and validation from you, in order to not feel like that. And in moments where I remember in the first part of our relationship, feeling like an outsider, feeling like I didn't belong, and because sometimes it was three against one, and I wasn't comfortable about that. I would hope that my daughter had some sort of loyalty to my allegiance at least, and not be agreeable in those ways, or and it was legitimate. She would agree to things that were legitimate, and not be like that. But what I want to say about this is, I respect that she's got her own opinions and has her own ability to be able to respond the way that she does. And I had to get clearer on why this was, and it was me feeling like I had to audition for a role that I already had, and it was daddy, J daddy. It was spouse. It was husband. It was partner. It was um, that identity that I really didn't feel like I had. And where I felt powerless was when I think when my daughter wouldn't listen, when you wouldn't listen, when my stepdaughter, your daughter wouldn't listen,
Mhm.
our daughter, and feeling like, what do I do? How do I get around this moment, and how do I get them to agree with me on something that I know is right? And it was probably it was probably wrong, but really just getting right with being wrong too is a huge thing. Um, I compared myself also to your daughter's biological dad, and he did a lot of the activities, and he's the outdoor guy, the adventure guy. And what I realized within me, within that, after realizing that I am enough in my own value and I'm doing enough for my daughter, was that he can be okay to have those adventures and activities, and I don't need to be able to catch up because I don't feel less than him anymore. And that's what I was feeling less, and I was comparing myself to my stepdaughter, my bonus daughter, in that way. And I remember just being feeling like guilt, feeling guilty about that. But you would say, why? Why? There's no comparison. You don't have anything to. And I would go, but yeah, like he's taking her to archery and he's taking her on this hike and they're going on a trip, and I'm going, I want to do those things. And but
You do great things with us.
yes, yeah, we do awesome things, but it was really feeling that position in myself of guilt and getting past that shame in that way. And what I finally started changing inside myself was exactly that. Like my worth started to change once I realized what that was. And the nugget for you in this, as you're watching it, write this down. Your identity as a stepdad and even as a stepmom is imperative. When you don't know what you are or who you are, I found that I didn't know what my role was. And when I didn't know what my role was, I didn't know what my purpose was, not only in life, but in our family. And when I didn't know my purpose, I had no idea how to lead. So if you have no idea, I had no idea how to lead, it was because I really truly didn't know what my purpose was. And because it was so fractured in those ways where I felt like I was comparing myself and whatever else, it was because I didn't know my role in the family. I felt like an outsider. And because I felt like an outsider, I didn't know who I was as a man, still knowing not of that. So it was really interesting to be able to discover that in that way, and I want to share that with you. So write that down. All right.
That's really good.
Yeah. What do you think the hardest part for you, love, is when it gets to like balancing your everyday with me, but also the kids? What do you feel in that is hard?
Well, I think all of it can be hard at times because I'm constantly trying to find time for myself, try to
Mm.
find time for what I'm passionate about,
Hmm.
my little projects here and there, and then also make sure that you're taken care of, the kids are taken care of, and and the family as a whole, the house as a whole is taken care of. And my biggest struggle has been trying to decide what I want, like who I
Mm.
am and what I want, because there was this deep desire to be, to have something ambitious in my past, and it was hard to come down to I'm just a mom,
Hmm.
right? Like, but it was like it's the most rewarding thing I've ever
Hmm.
done, and the more we settle into it, it's becoming more and more rewarding.
Hmm.
But it was fighting the old me with the new me.
Oh, 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 that's powerful. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Fighting the old me with the new me. Wow, I haven't heard that before. So
I
that
know
was really cool.
that just that was
Yeah.
from God.
Yes. Clarity.
Clarity.
Do you ever feel like where do you feel like you're caught in the middle?
Well, I get caught in the middle when it comes to my biological daughter and my
Okay.
stepdaughter, because you're trying to balance with your ex
Mm-hmm.
schedules and
Mm-hmm.
different things. I'm trying to balance with my ex
Mm-hmm.
different schedules. Then we have our own set of ideals
Mm-hmm.
that don't necessarily match either other household.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this balance that we have to maintain that's really tricky
Hmm.
when dealing with multiple households, and and that, sometimes I feel put in the middle between my daughter and you, or
Mm.
you, my daughter, and my ex, and
Okay.
right, or
Yep.
vice
Yeah.
versa,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
with
I get
with
it.
yours. So that's I think the hardest part.
And another nuance that I want to add to what Jennifer said is that we also have separation agreements with our exes that supersede some of the things that she just mentioned, which was our own ideals, which is our own agreements, which is what our daughters want. So there's some complexities within that too that really can be, you know, uh, difficult to figure out sometimes, but we work through
We do.
it.
We
We
work
always
through
find a way
it.
through it. We always find a way through it. Um, what do you find? What do you find you misunderstood about stepdads? And maybe even stepmoms. Like, let's extend that.
Well, I mean, I had sort of a stepdad in my life
Hmm.
that I rejected as a child, and so when we got together, we made it very clear with each other that we didn't want to live like that. We
No.
wanted a harmonized relationship,
Yep.
and we wanted our girls to be respectful to both of us,
Hmm.
and we wanted each other to show respect to our girls, so to emulate what that looks like and
Hmm.
teach them what that looks like, so that we didn't experience what I experienced as a child. And so I don't know that I had misconceptions, but I did have ideals that were very important to me.
Hmm.
Um, and then I think we've actually been working towards those ideals, and they actually are more harmonized. Like, and you had similar ideals that I had. We talked about that in the
Yeah.
beginning.
And I know that you have shared a lot of your experiences with your ex husband in a way where, in the beginning of our relationship, um, I was labeled as being or that. I was given a name, his name, your stepdad's name in the beginning.
So,
And when I heard that, when we heard that, we had no idea what that meant until later on. We went, "Oh, that was supposed to be derogatory," but like it really didn't make sense at the time.
right.
And I think it was really interesting. But um, what do you feel like wives need to better understand when it comes to blended families?
Well, I think one of the biggest things we all need to understand in blended families is, wives especially, is that it is so important to respect you,
Mm.
the husband. It is so important to teach your kids to respect the husband, both men in their lives. If there's two men in their lives, everyone needs to be respected. And with, respect the other one.
Hmm.
And I think um, we we really, it's our job as step parents, especially if we've come from, toxic or broken previous families, that we show what repair looks like. We show what healthy relationship looks like. We do everything in our power to be the change we want to see in families. What we didn't get in our first family, where our
Yeah.
children came from,
Yep.
we need to create that.
Hmm.
We don't want multiple chances. We don't want to have to try this three, four, five, 6 times.
So for you, what was the thing that changed first? Was it your mindset? Was it realizing that got you had to do a better job at being respectful, not only to yourself or but for me? What
Yeah,
was the big
well,
change?
the mindset was one thing, but I think it had a lot to do with feeling safe.
Okay.
Truthfully, like there was that sense of safety laid the groundwork. but I also had to be open to doing the work myself, like,
Hmm.
and still trying to do the work, right? Like
Hmm.
when when there are situations that leave you feeling unsafe, it's hard to do the work in those situations. It's not impossible. You can do that, and you have to strive to be better each and every time. And I think it truly is both people have to do the work. Like,
Yeah.
both people absolutely have to do the work.
So I want to be clear on this too, and this is something that I don't take easy, and I'm going to be vulnerable with you about this. Is it's not easy in moments realizing that I am wrong about something, and in that moment switching. And I'm being more mindful about that now than ever, being able to switch in those moments and go, I did that wrong, and apologizing and making good on that.
Yes.
And I can think of one situation in particular where, in the beginning of the relationship, even where we had gone to Canmore with the kids, we had gone to a mountain town and had some dinner there, and we were really just trying to figure out each other at that point as well. But what happened was, it was busy, and it was maybe in the early spring. There was still snow encrusted on the sides of the roads. And what I had done, because I wasn't thinking, and we were all hungry, and we had picked a restaurant, was to dart across the busy street. But what that did was, you went into fight or flight. The kids were beside themselves. They were fearful because this car had come, honked the horn, and we'd actually almost gotten hit. So I had led them in a way where I had put them in a situation where we could have gotten injured. And the switch foot on that was, in that moment, taking responsibility for that. And it was because you wanted to go home. You wanted to go home. You were like, I'm not having this.
I'm
I'm
not
not
having
having this. But like, I really had to dig in and go, okay, I did this wrong. I apologize. And I did. I
you
apologize.
did.
I'm
You
so
did.
sorry for this. We will not dart across the street when it's heavily, when there's heavy traffic like that. And just taking ownership of that and being wrong about that. And then what that does is, it took the weight off of you having to feel like, you were on your own with it, but also, what the kids felt, feeling guilty about that. And then, but also feeling guilty about your own feelings too, because, like, oh, I've got to be angry about this, but I don't want to, I don't want to pretend I'm not angry about it. Going like, oh, I did this wrong, all wrong. But really, in that moment, like, it was difficult. But those are moments that I reflect upon that moment. I go back to that moment when I have these instances where I've got to switch. I've got to say, I did this wrong. I take ownership of it. Let's do something different, and moving forward with it.
Before you move on with that,
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And as someone who didn't learn how to do that, that was probably one of the most difficult things for me to learn,
Okay.
was learning how to take responsibility
Hmm.
for my actions. I
Oh,
waited for
okay.
you.
So you're being vulnerable about this in this moment, which is really cool. So you're getting to see this teamwork in real time here. That's really cool.
but but what that did for me is it helped reinforce a new pattern, a new way of doing things that I had to see him do it a few times. It was like a child learning to ride a bicycle. I couldn't quite bring myself to it because it was scary. It was vulnerable. It was
Mm,
putting myself at risk if
mm.
I was the one to say I'm sorry or take ownership for something. But he did it enough times that it then felt safe for me to start doing it
Full disclosure is not comfortable. It sucks. It sucks. But what I kept in mind with, just to add to what you said, every time that I realized that I had to do that, the outcome and what I would learn within that would be so much. The gain in that, there was so much to gain in that by going through with that, as tough as it was in that moment. and the challenge that was in that.
So I appreciate that you helped me with that.
Thank you, Jerry. That's really nice. Thank you. What do you feel like, as far as habits, were able to rebuild trust for you? Maybe that didn't exist in your previous relationship.
Well, what we just talked about for
Okay.
one, and rebuild trust for us has been from the previous relationship. Yeah, it was learning to believe that you truly had my and our best interest at heart, um, and that it wasn't just all words.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to see with your actions that you lived up
Mm-hmm.
to what you said you
Okay.
were, and you have time and time again.
Thank you. I would say, and would you agree with this? You don't have to if you don't want to. But if I said that I was going to be home at a certain time, give or take like a couple of minutes, and being home, but doing that consistently and enough, would
Yes,
you say that helped rebuild trust?
100%,
Okay.
a hundred
Okay.
percent.
And then if there was a plan and we had an outcome, for instance, um, having this holiday weekend and having a plan in mind, and if it goes in having that plan in mind, with all that in mind, despite whatever happens, knowing that that was all the while the plan all along, even with any changes that we have, would you say that that helped, even when you were feeling off about that, still hold trust and hope?
100%.
Okay.
Yes.
So for clarity on that, work kicked up a little bit over the last 24 hours, and I ended up dealing with something at work that I didn't feel that I or didn't think that I had to deal with, which caused for some friction. But with, and this is a holiday weekend for us in Canada, um, so with that, it didn't feel like it really cut to the heart, like where it was a dagger this time. It felt like we just got it out. I was your sounding board. You were my sounding board, and then it was okay.
Yes.
How did it feel like for you?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm the one that tends to resist change. when I've been really patient for a long, long time, and I'm looking forward to something, and there's a wrench thrown in,
Yeah,
that I don't handle that very well, but I think I did better.
yeah, you did. Well, no, you did wonderful. You did awesome. Like, you're allowed to have your feelings. You know that. You don't need my permission. You don't even need me to say that. But
No,
like, you had all your feelings, and then you're like, okay, I'm good.
but now we're done. Now we're done. Now we're good.
Now we can get on with it.
That's actually happened twice this week. I just can't remember what the other one was.
So, complete this sentence. What I wish that every wife knew.
I wish every wife knew that when you work with your husband, when you believe in your husband, when you devote yourself to your husband, they will do everything for
Mm,
you.
mm,
Everything for you.
mm. And do you wish that you could have told a younger version of yourself that?
Yes, I wish a younger version of myself knew that this was possible, that there are good men out there. And a younger version of me, I did see that. So I actually, in people outside of myself, my grandparents and my, I had a friend whose family, they were all very close knit. And so I saw glimpses of it. I just didn't experience it. And so I've always held out hope that
Okay,
this was possible.
love that. I love that response. Did you write that down? That was really good. That was really good. I wish every stepdad knew how much power they hold in what they say and within their actions, because I have learned that within words that I say, even when I'm frowsy and upset, things that I've said to my stepdaughter that I really didn't consider would hurt her feelings, let alone her what she thought of me. I learned a lot by that. And it was through you learning how much that had an effect on her, where I was able to go, wow, I didn't think that my words actually held that kind of weight. And the actions, the power. So what I've learned about Jennifer is when she's feeling good, our two little girls they will they will emulate her actions, but they will also they want to do well. They want to do good. And that is that is a way for them to feel loved as well and feel purposeful, is to be able to um honor what they see, and just they get to be themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
They get to do all that. They get to really just be kids. So that's, hope you wrote that down too. The the biggest mistake stepdads make is not knowing their own value and believing in themselves. And I learned that through you, because I learned that in a conversation you and I had after a kitchen incident where you said, I wish that you saw the, I wish that you believed in yourself like I believed in you. And it took me a few times to hear that until I finally got it. And it wasn't after being sprayed by the faucet, by the way, to cool down. It was like, oh, it was an example actually of you telling me that I don't know that you know how much you see value in the work that you do like I see it. And then you showed me through what you had said and through your own career, you said that this is the value that I see you put in your business, and I don't think you account for it. And that floored me. That floored me because I really didn't feel like that was a contribution. Like that felt like that felt like a knife in the back, because it was like, how dare you? I'm doing something and I don't really feel like you fully grasp what I'm doing, because like you're calling me on something that you feel that I should be doing, but yet do you really fully understand what I'm doing? But it wasn't that at all. It was you just really feeling like you needed to be heard. And hey, consider this. You don't need to take it on, but like consider this being a vital thing that you should adopt. Does that make sense? Do you remember that? It was it was a conversation we had about how I was charging clients in my business. And it
Mm-hmm.
happened to be one client in particular where wasn't charging for travel time.
Okay.
Does that ring a bell?
No, I recall many of these conversations.
Okay, there's many. There's many. Okay, all right.
but
There's
but
many.
that now I know which one you're referring to.
Right.
But okay,
Right. So
yes. But this man is valuable and he needs to know it.
okay, so there's validation in that. And there's validation in that for you as well. Love alone isn't enough because
Because we there's so many moving parts to a relationship,
mm,
and there's just there's nervous system regulation, there's self acceptance,
mm,
there's communication, there's respect,
mm,
there's flow, there's sovereignty. There's
mm,
so many things to balance in relationship, and I think it's so important that we we have mechanisms to communicate and make sure everyone's needs are being met, and that sometimes some things that we do are more selfish, and sometimes we have to sacrifice our own needs in favor of the other. And there needs to be mechanisms in place where you are able to balance all
Hmm.
of the needs of everyone.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know how to answer that really because love is all you need. Just
Love alone isn't enough because it takes growth, growth and integration, as well as mindset and work, putting in the work to make love the byproduct of what we do.
yes.
And I really feel passionate about that because I mean, we can love something, but is it a fleeting feeling if we don't put actions into put the actions that we want to work? And I would feel my answer is that I don't feel that way. I feel like it got a real like this relationship, this blended family wouldn't exist without the work that we put into it every day. And it's me putting work into the relationship where I take care of her by taking care of myself too, where it works. And I would say you know, before we close, like let's take our viewers into a little bit of a deep dive where you felt where did you feel the furthest apart from me?
Oh boy. Um, I would say it was after one of our breakups
Okay.
last year.
Yeah, we had a breakup just recently like that
Just
too.
yeah, well, a year and a half ago. I
Yeah,
don't know how long ago. Um,
a little more than a year ago.
yeah, and um, and I really thought that was it,
Right.
and I was ready to walk away from it all, walk away from all that we. But I leaned on thought, I leaned on faith, and went, if this is meant to be, it will be. And I just started working on myself. I worked on the growth required to make the changes I needed to be a better wife, better stepmom, better mom. And I was like, with or without this relationship, I am becoming the best version of myself yet.
Mm, mm. I love that. I love that. Working, just taking that and taking responsibility to take care of yourself.
Of course.
Ladies and gentlemen, the best gift that you can give your spouse, and I can attest to this, is the gift of taking care of yourself. Taking care of, I've been able to figure out in our lowest moments where we were the furthest apart is, you know, I might feel like this is coming to an end, but I really got to take care of myself right now because if I don't take care of myself, then I'm not going to succeed in life and I'm not going to succeed for my daughter, let alone succeed for you.
Mhm.
And that means the quality of life that I want to keep going with insists on my ability and my health and well-being to take care of myself. So that means mindset. That means and we still work on this every day with each other even too. It's mindset and working out the negative thoughts. No. Try it like this. Reframe it like this. Like this is what it should look like. This is how value should look like. We already have it. It's always working in our favor. And and I get that reminder from you. I get
Yeah,
that reminder from you.
we get it from each other, and we all have our blind spots. We all have the things that hold us back, and I think we owe it to the people we care about, to remind them of how powerful they are and how that that simple shift will help reset everything.
Yeah, and it is a simple shift. You just got to make the decision to do it, to say it, to get like say it, do it. As soon as you declare it, you're on the road to doing it. So, in closing, the reason why we're still here is because we don't rely on love itself and hope that it happens. We we've adopted a growth mindset
Mhm.
and taking care of ourselves and taking care of the relationship so that we can continue to take care of these kids. And we owe it to not only ourselves, but to our friends and family to pass down this legacy, but also this newfound identity that we get to show and live. And what I feel like I want to leave you with is if you're feeling like you're on the in the throes of um, feeling like it's over and feeling like this is the last bit of the relationship and you don't know if it can go forward, really lean into that because there might be something within that that speaks to you in a way where you go, maybe not. I mean, look at Jesse and Jennifer. They counted up to 11 times and they're still going. They're still going, but we figured out a way to talk to one another where we could just it's its own safe container to be able to say what we need to say, but move on from it, right? But
Yes.
but also consider one another's feelings within that.
Yes, and I think, it's so important for me. It was through all of these trials and tribulations that I personally learned how to communicate better, and it was through your teaching
Hmm.
how you communicated because you've learned in previous relationships in your own upbringing a completely different way of communicating than I was taught. But it was through that consistency that I was able to repattern my own way of talking and communicating,
Hmm.
but also understanding, like becoming more understanding, where at one point it was all based on how I felt and my feelings ran the show. But
Right.
then I learned how to take my feelings and dissect them
Mm.
because our feelings aren't always accurate. They
Mm.
We create stories from feelings
Mm.
that aren't always true, and it was understanding that when I voiced my feelings, it got them out of me,
Hmm.
and then it became diffused.
Was it lighter?
It's much lighter,
Hmm.
and then I could change the story. That's where the mindset comes in. Is
Yeah.
once you diffuse the feeling, you feel it, you communicate it, you let it go, it diffuses everything, and you can now come at the story from a new perspective, and you can create a new story.
You can create a new story, and within that, realizing, and I've realized with you as well, is that sometimes the story that I've had in my head about how you are is not exactly what it really is in reality. So, well, I hope you've really taken away some nuggets here, and you followed us with the sun going down, and now it's a little bit darker. But thank you for watching, and thank you for following the valiant lifestyle of blended family dads. Take care.